Ankh and Ma'at. I am so pleased that you're here with us for Kemetic Ascension, brought to you by the Shrine of Ma'at. Welcome, 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 Ankh and Ma'at. It is May 22nd, 2022, and I hope that you are doing well. You know that when we begin by asking you where you are in the world and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. How about I go ahead and introduce myself as well, since I almost never do, Anika, right? Mm-hmm. My name is Jabari Osaze, also known as Heru Jeden Ma'at Aten Ra, and I am the co-chief priest of the Shrine of Ma'at. The other co-chief priest you'll see in a few moments. So, as I do that, I'm hoping that you are preparing to tell us where you are in the world and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. We would like to see just how far and wide our voices, our sounds, our pleads for assistance from the Neteru, our desire to connect as an African-centered community are going. So please let us know where you are in the world and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. So I'm assuming we have some answers coming in.
Yes, we do. We have Michael Varnado. Let us know where you're from.
That sounds new. I don't know if I remember that name.
Yeah. Kay Harris peeking in. Tell us where you're from. Benita Sutton, one of our regulars out in Winston-Salem.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is wonderful that you're there, Ankh and Ma'at, Hetepu.
We have DZ Ankh from Buffalo.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Latanya Cigar Duncan from Dallas.
Wonderful. And Anika said Buffalo that way because she knows that we're going to talk a bit about Buffalo today. I'm just wondering, DZ Ankh, whether you have a position, a take, feelings about what happened in your city last week, because we'll talk a little bit about it today. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sure. Yashiria, Sinet Yashiria from our initiate.
Ankh and Ma'at to you, Sinet.
Send Andre Bryant. And Twaou for your donation.
Ankh and Ma'at. It's good that you're with us.
Jersey.
Yes, yes, yes.
Michael Varnado says he's from West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Do we hear West Virginia regularly? I don't think so. Ankh and Ma'at, and welcome. Welcome.
Ricky Crayon from Baton Rouge.
Welcome. Welcome.
Sinet Adenike, one of the full members of the Shrine here.
Ankh and Ma'at, probably coming to us from the continent, from the Gambia. Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Let's see. We have Marcus Jamal, who wants to know how you can join your class. So we have 3 Millennia of Excellence that's starting in about 2 weeks. So you can register online at centerforma'at.com, and I'll post that information shortly. Let's see, there's Sekou Harwa, also from Buffalo. Welcome.
Wow. What is Buffalo in the house today?
Yeah. Oruko is here. Tell us where you're from. Send Jason Holmes. Ankh and
Ma'at to you, send Jason, one of our full members, one of our initiates, about to complete their process. That's coming very soon. Don't let me forget to say something about that. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Sinet Tashi, rep in Charlotte, North Carolina, one of our members. Good to see you.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Oruko says Wilson, North Carolina for 5 years. Wonderful.
Ankh and Ma'at. 5 years is a long time.
Ayoholuk says justice for Waukesha. Ignore attacks from Black Lives Movement. Expect things like Buffalo. Not sure I understand what you're saying.
No, I don't either. Mm-hmm. Explain, please, or even just shoot me an email if it's a lengthy commentary.
Okay. Tahuti Ma'at, Ross Sirius is here with us.
Ankh and Ma'at, how are you?
Kansas.
Ankh and Ma'at, Ankh and Ma'at.
That beautiful couple out in Ghana is here with us.
The Schaefers are there. Ankh and Ma'at.
Yes.
To you, Sinet, Kenya, and St. Charles.
Yes, and Jason is repping Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yes, he is. Ankh and Ma'at.
We have Senator Amun Ra, one of our initiates, representing Chicago.
Chi-Town in the house.
Next weekend.
Ankan Ma'at.
Sen Rich is here as well, another initiate.
Ankan Ma'at, here in New York City.
Dezion says, I know so many people that think like that guy here. My position is I'm saddened but not surprised.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's Mitra from Douglasville, GA. Good to see you again.
Ankan Ma'at, Ankan Ma'at.
Sekou Harwell from Buffalo.
Ankan Ma'at. Is that the third person from Buffalo?
I believe so, unless I said his name before.
I think you might have. Yeah, Ankan Ma'at.
Twice. Be safe, Sen Richard. He's on the road.
Oh, be safe. Please be safe.
Devion is here, repping Chi-Town as well.
Chi-Town in the house.
Sen Gaston, repping Arizona. Good to see you.
Sen Gaston, how are you? We're planning when I'll be with you all in Arizona soon.
G-Stuff M is here. Tell us where you're from. We had Edsel Peterson from Rochester, New York. Welcome.
Ankan Ma'at to you.
Let's see. Kamal Shakur from Humble, Texas.
Ankan Ma'at.
We have Abut Wasseret in the house. Welcome.
Ankan Ma'at to you. Abut Wasseret, one of the leaders of the Shrine of Ma'at, one of our priestesses.
Yes, a member of the Wenwet. We have Heru Jehuti Patal Umika Temra. I like that.
That's a big one.
It's always fun to say.
Ankan Ma'at.
From Ernest, North Carolina. I'm sorry, North California, excuse me. Soon to be initiate. Sinette Daria, one of our initiates, also saying see us in Chi-Town.
Ankan Ma'at.
Sinette Cortia, repping ATL.
Ankan Ma'at to you, Sinette Cortia, one of our initiates as well.
We have Kendall Lamont out in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Ankan Ma'at, Ankan Ma'at.
And we have Tariku Belanesh Dereje, I hope I said that correctly, out in Canada.
Wow. What part of Canada? Please let us know what part of Canada. We have a full initiate out there. He's around Ontario, maybe even in Ontario right now. But I know he's also in the equivalent of the National Guard. So the full member I'm talking about. Juti Ma'abra.
That's who we have repping today.
Ankan Ma'at to you all. I'm so honored that you have
Alberta.
Alberta. Wonderful. I'm so honored that you all have joined us for Kemetic Ascension. Ankan Ma'at to you all. I know there's so many things that you could do with what is likely a wonderfully beautiful Sunday, an absolutely infertile day, and that you've chosen to partake in Kemetic Ascension is powerful to us. That fact is not lost on us. And so I must say Ankan Ma'at to you. I'm so honored that you were here. Please, please, please continue to be part of this group. Now, let me say to you that I am sure that this is a good time for you to share the link, for you to like it if you're on Facebook. Let other folks that you know should be here with us, other folks who hear the call of an ancient African mother and father, the call of the traditions of our ancestors that are beckoning to us from thousands and thousands of years ago. And so I am hoping that you, at this time, will also let others know that the Shrine of Ma'at is on with Kemetic Ascension. And that they should be part of it as well. Yes?
Some more people chiming in. So Dwayne Cadiz from Trinidad.
Wow. Dwayne, send Dwayne, are you in Trinidad right now or are you from Trinidad?
And yes, there are questions about Chicago. Jabari will be doing the tour, I believe, on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll announce both of those things in a minute.
Cameron Mosey is here. Good to see you. Tell us where you're from.
Ankan Ma'at, Ankan Ma'at.
Also, Corius Hollis. Let us know where you're from.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
We have a few announcements in terms of where we're going to be.
Sure. Let me go ahead and do those now, since it seems like there's some interest. I should let you know that this was a busy week, and this is going to be another busy week that we have just entered. On Friday, Anika and I will be arriving in Chicago. We will be in Chi-Town for the weekend for an amazing gathering, Reconnecting the African Mind Symposium, led by Yasir Rahotep, the Kemetic yoga master who was out of Chicago. So we'll be there Friday. We're doing 2 lectures on Saturday. Sunday, we're doing a tour of the Oriental Institute. The Oriental Institute Museum, which is part of the University of Chicago, has one of the most important pieces of art for the understanding of the Kemetic tradition. Did you hear what I said? Now, you know that for me to say that, it must mean something quite significant, because Anika and I have the honor, the privilege of touring Kemet every year. So for me to say that one of the most important artifacts is actually in Chicago is significant. And so I truly hope that you are prepared. I truly hope that you are going to be part of this experience. I truly hope that you will be there. Please go to centerformaat.com, Center for Ma'at, not our shrine page, our center page for our educational work. Go to Center of Ma'at for, oh my goodness, I'm messing it all up. Go to centerformaat.com so that you can see what we're doing, and you'll be able to purchase tickets and be part of it. And let me say, we are going to be asking for all of you who are full members of the shrine, who are initiates of the shrine, who are in the area, who are joining. Let us know when you're going to come through, if you're going to come through, because we'd also like to do something off of the official agenda so we can all spend some time together and see each other in person. Anika, there are so many people who are part of the shrine. I used to always say that the Shrine of Ma'at was a Harlem shrine. And it is true that it is based in Harlem. But let's be very clear. We have many members outside of the New York City area, and many more members that are even outside of the East Coast. So we are certainly much more than a Harlem shrine. And so when we travel, we get the wonderful honor to actually speak to members who are in distant locations. And so I want to say to you, if you are a full member of the shrine, we would love to see you. Please let us know when you're coming so that we can figure out when we can all gather and go get some food together. The other thing I'd want you to know, and that's all next weekend, Memorial Day weekend, will be in Chicago. The other thing I should let you know is that our OPET Festival weekend is approaching. You may not be familiar with the OPET Festival. The OPET Festival is an amazing festival that occurred in ancient Kemet, mostly in the city of Waset, in which 2 temples that had a great relationship would actually greet each other. They would do this large procession over the water from one temple to the next. It was an amazing festival, not just for the priests and priestesses of the temple, but also for the average people who gathered and had these amazing celebrations as they watched the image of the divine go from one temple to the next. And then on the way back, they carried it by foot back. And so this amazing festival, as I have described it, is actually the origin of carnival. More on that in my classes. This is not the time to talk about that extensively, but that is the origin of carnival. We are going to have our own modern rendition without the procession at this point. Hopefully in the near future, Anika will be able to have our procession. But I want you to be prepared, because what we are going to do is we're going to have a series of events. And the most important aspect of that weekend, which is June 10th to the 12th. Did I get that right this time?
Yes.
The 10th is the Friday? It's not the 11th, that's the Friday, right? I always mess up the date.
It's the 10th.
The 10th, right. So 10th to the 12th, we are going to be having this amazing weekend. And on the 11th, we are going to have what we call the Heb Keperu Wur. Heb Keperu were. Before I tell you what that stands for, why don't you in the chat tell me what you think that means in English, the Heb Keperu were. You should know that this festival will celebrate the completion of the initiatory process of those individuals that will be entering into the Shrine of Ma'at, will be full members of the Shrine of Ma'at at the end of the festival. And it is also, as you know, open to the public, but particularly this is the time that we say that all of the full members of the Shrine of Ma'at should gather. We're going to have the Opet Festival weekend every June. The dates may change a little bit, but every June of the year. And this is the time that we are asking that if you are a full member of the Shrine of Ma'at, you should come. It's the best time to come because it will allow all of us to spend time together. So I am truly hoping that you will be here, family, for the Opet Festival weekend. Do we have any answers to my question?
Not yet.
No? Wow.
Oh, well, Senaton says to rise or become Keper.
Okay, sure. Now let me give you another. That's not an incorrect translation, but let's say this. Heb means festival or celebration. Keperu sort of is the symbol of the Keper, the symbol of the divine beetle that is. I've taken the beetles all over the place because we're doing initiation right now. The beetles are up where we're doing the initiation. There are no beetles sitting here. That's really strange. I usually just grab a beetle and show it to you. It's a symbol that represents divine transformation coming into being.
Shankai says the Great Transformation Festival.
Yes, it is the festival of the great transformations. That's the reason why we put the U on Keperu, because we're talking about the transformations of all of those initiates. You know that we have initiation at this point once a year. So the Opet Festival weekend marks the conclusion of their process. And so many of our initiates will be coming into town. We're going to have a whole weekend of events, so we get a chance to just spend time with them. We're really looking forward to it. So, and keep in mind that if you're not an initiate, let's say that you're a part of the sort of the family of the Shrine of Ma'at. You've been watching Kemetic Ascension for a long time. You actually have taken one of our classes. You're looking to be an initiate. Maybe you're considering the priesthood. All of those things mean that maybe you should get on your camel, get in your canoe. You're probably going to get on a plane, a train, or a bus, more likely. But this is the time for you to take any mode of transportation that you fancy to Harlem for the Opet Festival weekend, which will celebrate a new group of full members of the Shrine of Ma'at. So we're really looking forward to that. So those are some of the announcements. I should also announce while I'm here that, as Anika is saying, my 3 Millennia of Excellence history course is beginning. That course is the course that helps you understand, helps you draw from, gives you the entire story of Kemetic history. So those of you who want to know how it started, what happened when Kemet was going and churning and really being one of the most influential nations in the world, all of those things are described in that course that's called 3 Millennia of Excellence. So please come forward and be part of it. There are a lot of things we're doing. We're even going to Kemet. Now, listen, I shouldn't even be announcing it now because we really are. Look at Anika's glaring at me. We are at the point where the only way that you could go is if you paid your full amount immediately, right? Because we're really at the end of the time that we're able to accept more people. But let's say someone just logged in and said, what, they're going to Kemet? I never heard that. This is the time for you not to consider going. This is the time to be about your business going. So we're going to Kemet August 1st to the 10th. And then those people who have gone to Kemet who will have an amazing experience will return to the United States. And Anika and I will be off to Ghana, the place that we are installed, the place that is the Black Star land, the place that welcomes people of African descent throughout the diaspora and on the continent. So I really hope that if you can, you'll be part of that journey as well. Is that enough announcements? That's a whole lot of announcements, isn't it? We're busy. We are busy. It is normal for me to stand here and say, man, I'm actually winded because of the things that have happened during the week. And this Sunday is no different. So with that, I want to welcome you to Kemetic Ascension. I want to thank you for coming to Kemetic Ascension for May 22nd, 2022. Can we please begin in the manner that our elder has taught us? Begin in the manner that we know we should begin all important things. That manner is through the ritual that is described as the opening of the way. The opening of the way. Please stand upright. This is not theater. Don't just look at us on your couch. Stand upright and get into the position of adoration. That means you're going to take just a little stride forward with your left foot. Your right foot will be back. And then you're going to take your palms and you're going to expose them in front of you. You know that if you just simply stand this way and you close your eyes, you'll actually realize that you're able to sense energy in front of you. This is a powerful, powerful stance. But let's do it precisely in the way that our Kemetic ancestors would have. Take your left hand and put it a little further forward than your right hand. Sort of tuck the right hand back a bit, just as your right leg is back, your right hand will be back as well. And if you are going to bend your wrist, bend them ever so slightly. Don't do this. That's not how we see it anywhere in the description that our ancestors use. If you're going to bend them ever so slightly, and you can even just keep them straight like that. Does that make sense? This is the position of adoration, a position that we see our Kemetic ancestors utilize to give and to receive divine energy for thousands of years. With that, what you're going to do is you're going to take your breath from your abdomen. And then as you fill your abdomen with as much air as you can, you're going to try to continue to push it out, okay? Jabari has a bit of a belly, but not a lot of a belly. But when I do the opening of the way, it looks like I have a basketball in my belly because I keep it pushed out. And I continue to use my muscles to push it out as I allow the air to come through me and I chant the word for everlasting life, Ankh. Keep in mind that when you're chanting Ankh, sometimes I hear some of you go, oh, that's not right. Don't chant it from here. Don't chant it from here. Allow the air to come from here and to circulate through towards the top of your head, the crown of your head. It should sound nasal, like, oh, okay? And when you do it that way, you'll feel the vibration at the top of your head. Does that make sense? That's how it should be done. Let's do it. Take your deep breath and then chant.
Anetrak in Bedhet.
Anetrak in Bedhet.
Nuke in Bedhet.
Nuke in Bedhet. Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter.
Turn to the right.
Anetrak Serket.
Anetrak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket. Anetrak Kebsanu.
Anetrak Kebsanu.
Nuke Kebsanu.
Nuke Kebsanu.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter. Anetrak As.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Nuke Ast. Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter. Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. Anetrak Dwamutef.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter. Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt. Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter.
Anetrak Shu.
Anetrak Shu.
Shu. Shu. Shu. Shu. Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. Twau Inter. Anetrak Paut. Netchak Paut in Teru, Nuk Paut in Teru, Netchak and Boo in Teru, Nuk and Boo in Teru, Twa Winter. Twa Winter. Twa Winter, Twa Winter. Now, see, you might say, well, Jabari does the Ankh very long. Well, you know why? Because I'm not doing it from here. I'm doing it from here, okay? Fill your abdomen. Fill your abdomen. Now, some of you who are full members of the Shrine have heard me tell this story. You probably heard me tell this story a bunch of times because Jabari tells a lot of stories very quickly. And Anika's saying, come on, man, let's move. We got another meeting afterwards and another meeting. Our Sundays are ridiculous. I remember actually traveling in Harlem at one point and going to the Rosicrucian Temple. I did not understand that they had opened a new location, and I was actually off gathering some things. I won't go into what I was picking up, but it was groceries I shouldn't have had. And I went in to see what was going on. And to be very honest with you, the Tomhu, the European people that were inside, were not interested in me at all. I asked some questions and they were a little dismissive. And then they noticed my Ankh. Then as I was talking to them, they weren't even looking at me. They were staring at my Ankh. And then finally they said, who are you? I said, well, I'm a Kemetic high priest. I think that you, for the word Kemet, know the word Egypt. And before I could say anything else, they grabbed my hand and took me upstairs. I was thinking about my groceries sitting there. And they ended up asking me to lead them in the chant of Ankh. They were already doing it. So you might think this is simple, but you had better understand that people from other communities have been empowering themselves by using the terms, the words, the manners in which our African ancestors have been galvanizing divine energy for thousands of years. Very important, very important. Okay, so Anika, at this point, we usually go into what we call Hesi. Hesi is how our ancestors actually proceeded to, in many ways, cull divine energy from the universe inside of them and without of them in harmony, in chanting, and in song. That is Hesi. Hesi is the world's first recorded praise music. Long before anyone spoke the word gospel, they were chanting Hesi. They were doing songs, they were singing songs that were connected to the divine tradition. We have records of some of those songs. Did you know that? Some of you may not know that. So what we'd like to do is play another amazing track from the wonderful couple that is in Dodowak, Ghana. You know that Anika and I worked with the Schaeffers in Ghana to create our first album, known as Temple Music Volume 1. It has a longer title, and because I haven't gotten much sleep, Kemetic Meditations, Temple Music Volume 1. So please go ahead and listen to this wonderful Hesi. Inferal, absolutely inferal, absolutely inferal. Let me say to you that we are so honored to have worked with the Schaefer family in Ghana to be able to create this wonderful CD. And so I'm really hoping that you are listening to it on all the streaming platforms and you've actually purchased it. It is available for purchase, and we can't wait for you to get your hands on it. It is the kind of album that you can simply just bump in the car, play with your family, have playing in the house while you're cleaning, while you're doing the sorts of things you have to do every day. It is really a wonderful, wonderful production. And we say dua to them, dua to them, dua to them for all their hard work. So, what I'd like to talk about today, as we go into what we call a word from the Sevaid, is about the really painful thing that occurred on May 14th. Really, really painful situation occurred in Buffalo, New York. And you know that the Shrine of Ma'at is based in Harlem, New York. It's based in the same state as this horrendous activity which occurred. And I want to talk really briefly about how we should understand what happened, how we should prepare ourselves for what we are seeing. Okay, what is going on? And I'm really hoping that as we prepare ourselves to understand what happens, it means that we will be a stronger community. It means that we'll be better prepared to deal with the challenges that we see ahead. Oh, wait, is it working? Finally, my goodness. I'm hoping that you are familiar with it. So let me start by saying that I am pained today. Because I continue to think about what happened to those incredible, primarily aunties and grandmothers, as they simply went to get food, get items for Sunday dinner. Apparently, this is something, well, I shouldn't even say apparently, because I know if you go to a supermarket in a Black community on a Saturday afternoon, evening, you're going to see it filled with aunties and grandmothers, particularly. You're going to see, that's probably the time you'll see the most elders in the supermarket, because they are preparing meals so that their families can gather and spend the time that they should spend together. And so a racist child, 18 years old, a racist child by the name of Peyton Gendron, went into the Tops Market in Buffalo, the only major grocery store in the Black neighborhood of that city. You have heard them call it a food desert. Let's talk a little bit more about what that means and if we should actually recognize it as a food desert. I want you to think about what happened and put it in context in a way that perhaps allows us to be even more connected to what happened in Buffalo. Not only is it in the same state as the Shrine of Ma'at, not only did it occur in an African-American community, as we are part of the African-American, Afro-Caribbean, African-descended community, but I really do feel for this community, because as I look at them and I feel their pain, I see my aunts and grandmothers. I see my uncles. I see people who are doing nothing more than trying to live and trying to excel with their families. And I know that even though I'm a historian, as you know, even though I'm a historian, I have studied racist activities that have occurred in this nation for my entire adult life. I am never unsurprised when I see something like this occur. I'm never unsurprised. I know that we should not become inured to these kinds of behaviors, these kinds of acts. So look at the bottom here. You actually see one of the vigils that was held to commemorate, to be prepared to deal with the lives of these individuals. This is as challenging as I could possibly imagine. It just is painful. So look at this and let's think about its deeper meaning. I want you to take a look at Sister Joy Reid as she speaks about one of those vigils that occurred. You can see that Joy Reid, one of the anchors on MSNBC, is as pained as you would expect one to be. Because while she is a major media commentator, she is clearly a Black woman, a mother, a wife, a part of our community. And she can't simply announce this like others in the media do, because she sees her own family as she looks at them. Take a look.
It's been 6 days since the horrific racist shooting at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York. And the first funeral for one of the victims, 67-year-old Patterson, was held today. Patterson was a driver who was shot while helping a client load groceries. The funeral was private. But yesterday, the families of the victims held an emotional press conference with Attorney Ben Crump and the Reverend Al Sharpton, who gave the eulogy at today's funeral. In a gut-wrenching moment, Patterson's ex-wife, tears up, spoke as her 12-year-old son cried silently. His heart is broken. He had sleep. He had eat. And as a mother, what am I supposed to do to help him get through this? I need a village to help me raise and be here for my son, because he has no father. Other family members of the victims shared their grief and anger over the senseless violence as well. And again, this is hard to watch. I cannot believe somebody would give some child a gun and let him think that it's okay and come in somebody's hometown and just shoot it up. They just shoot people down like dogs. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I constantly think about what could have been done. And it seems like it's like Groundhog Day. Like we've seen this over and over and over again.
That racist young man took my mother away. How dare you! I'm joined now by Bishop William Barber. Co-chairman of the Poor People's Campaign. Sorry, I have a policy about crying on TV. But that little boy and that grandma kind of really made it very hard for me to continue. Bishop Barber, what do you even say? You've done many funerals. It's one thing if your mom or your ex-husband dies as a result of cancer or an accident. This isn't that. What do you even say at a funeral? What do you even say?
So I'm sitting here like you crying and angry. I don't know if you say a lot.
As you listen to that and you see the pain that Sister Joy Reid was in, I know that you recognize that we continue to see Black people be victims of racist hate. We continue to see Black folks struggle. This sort of thing is all too familiar. This sort of thing is the kind of thing that we know happens in the Black community, has happened since the inception of this nation. And I'm truly hoping that as you see the pain on their faces, as you hear them talk about the loss of their family members, you recognize that we should be prepared, should be ready should be mourning, should be celebrating, should be doing all those things that we know are necessary in our community in order to move forward. You see this happening up here? It's just, yes, it's going on and on off and on. I don't know if you saw what was happening. Yeah, it's just, this presentation is not quite working. The laptop is giving us fits today. So, you are able to see the presentation, thankfully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try, let's see, there we go. Maybe that'll stay on for a moment. I'm going to just keep it as simple as I can so that we're able to continue to talk about this situation. So you actually saw Sister Joy Reid. You got a sense of the challenge that she was having going through this. I want you to really think about, think about how difficult this is. And the whole presentation has gotten muddled. Give me 1 second here. I want us to look at this particular situation and recognize that there are even more red flags that we should take away from this situation as a spiritual community. And if we take those red flags away, we should recognize that this is not the time for us to think that this community is different than our community. And I know that you may even be thinking, well, Jabari, this took place in a supermarket. What does that have to do with the institution that you are one of the leaders of, with the Shrine of Ma'at? I want to say a thing or two about this situation. Of course, I can't even see the presentation now. Do you see what we're dealing with these pieces of technology that we're struggling with? I'm gonna actually, how am I gonna actually see the presentation if this laptop is just ended on us? Let's talk for a minute. I'm gonna try to talk to it openly without seeing the slides, because clearly this is not working here. What I want to do, I want to actually do this in the way that we know that we're supposed to. That's one of the things that I want to do. As we know that our community, as Peyton Gendron, an 18-year-old with an assault rifle and full armor, actually ran into a supermarket and shot at our people. We should also understand that we're in a situation where I don't know what that is. We're in a situation where
watch the presentation on your phone.
Okay,
Facebook, and I can show the slide.
Okay, let's see if I can do that. We're actually in a situation. We're actually going to deal with this from a level, hopefully, that you can see this situation more clearly. So let's do this. I am going to try to do that. Let's take a look at, I can't read that from here. Okay, let's try our best. In terms of focusing on what occurred, I want you to recognize that this 18-year-old young man went into a supermarket. And as he went into a supermarket, he actually attempted to take the lives of more people. He was confronted by a retired police officer who actually, I'm sure, his family was pleased that he was retired. They were probably thinking that being a police officer for a supermarket was safer. But this supermarket security guard returned fire, hit him several times, but because he was wearing the latest in body armor, that did not even harm him. And that security guard was killed. That's how difficult this is, as you can imagine. So what I want you to do is that's not going to work. What I want you to do is I want you to don't worry about it. I'm gonna just do what I can. Don't worry about it. As we actually are dealing with the pain of this situation, I don't want it to be lost on us that the shooter told us about his motivations, that the shooter actually had nearly 200-page manifesto that described what he was trying to do. And I also want you to think about the things that he had written on his assault rifle. Are you aware of this? Are you aware of some of the things that he actually had written on his rifle? He had White Lives Matter written on his rifle. He had the names of other killers, including Dylan Roof, on his rifle. We'll talk about Dylan Roof in a moment. And he even had the term "we was Kangs" in Shiite on his rifle. Now, for those of you who have been part of Kemetic Ascension, I'm not usually behind the computer, but I would not be surprised if every now and then you see someone type that. In fact, when I was last on Tuesday Talk with the Boots a Shot, someone came into the room and typed that. That is a racist troll term that is used to mock people who are in the Kemetic tradition. And citing Dylan Roof, and also mentioning buck broken, which is a mention of the concept of buck breaking that was done particularly to people of African descent who were enslaved. I'm going to say to you, I would not be surprised if a Peyton Gendry, this killer, this murderer in the Tops Market in Buffalo, and those like him are not monitoring this broadcast as in and of itself. As he celebrated Dylan Roof, you should understand that Gendron actually said that he had planned to kill as many people at the supermarket and then to go to the nearest church to continue his rampage. In many ways, what we're seeing is not just an attack on the Black community, we're also seeing an attack on our spiritual forms. And I'm hoping that in this instance, you're not thinking of Christians as different than Kemetic people. I know we have different spiritual traditions, but I want you to think about the fact that white racists know that they can attack us most effectively by going to our, let's call them, houses of worship. By going to places that they know we will be located in. And because our spiritual traditions are so important to us, it becomes an active area for their targeting. He mentioned Dylan Roof. Who was Dylan Roof? Let's also understand that as he wrote the name Dylan Roof on his weapon, he was connecting his actions to the murders in 2015 carried out by a 21-year-old white man who actually shot up the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, who killed 9 people, once again, mostly aunties and grandmas. So he was well aware of this racist spree that many go on as they try to attack the pillars of our community. Please understand that as we are under attack, as our community is under attack, as our spiritual traditions are under attack, that we are also trying to deal with how we can maintain our spiritual tradition, maintain ourselves, and do the things that we know we need to do, even though they will continue to come at us in the heart of hearts of our community, our spiritual centers. That's the challenge that we have. And that's why this is so painful. So one of the things that I want to do now, one of the things I think is necessary to do, is I want to pour libation for the names of those individuals who were taken from us, for those people that we lost in Buffalo. Because we know that these Africans, these people of African descent, who were doing nothing more than trying to gather food for Sunday dinner, are on their journey, are preparing to enter Aaru, and that we should recognize that these ancestors must be fed, that these ancestors will continue to live amongst us as long as we are prepared to live and to remember their names. And so let us speak the names of these ancestors. Let us be prepared to celebrate them on their journey. So I start by saying we pour libation for the soul of Roberta Jury. Twanter. We pour libation for Marcus Morrison. We pour libation for Andre McNeil. For Aaron Selter. For Geraldine Talley. For Celestine Cheney. For Hayward Patterson. For Kathleen Massey. For Pearl Young. And for the elder of all of these individuals, a grandmother of 86 years old. We pour libation for Ruth Whitfield. And we know that while we are in pain, while we are angry, while we are looking for answers, we must recognize that these ancestors are also looking for us to maintain our relationship with them, that we must continue to call their names, that we must continue to remember those things that they did while they were here in physical form, that we must continue to think about them as they make their journey. And we are asking the Neteru and the ancestors to protect them on their journey on the boat of Ra. May not a wave crash upon its bow. We ask for them to successfully complete their journey, to actually get to the point where their souls need not be weighed. And as they enter into Aaru, we ask for the Neteru and the ancestors to allow them to give their families, to allow them to give their friends, to allow them to give their fellow neighbors and community members solace by knowing that life cannot be snuffed out by a racist bullet, that life cannot be destroyed by death, that they continue to live, and that they will continue to communicate, they will continue to work, they will continue to be important, everlasting, eternal presences in our lives as long as we develop the faculties to see them. And so with that, I ask you, family, to think about Buffalo, to think about those people who are struggling today. How many of them must be struggling? In that video, you saw a grandmother say that this child has no father now. You saw a woman actually say that this racist killer took her mother from her. Just think about how those individuals who are closest to these victims have been affected. Let's not forget them as the news cycle continues to turn on. I've even heard, and I'm sure you've heard this too, Anika, that one of the things that's even difficult is the fact that the Tops grocery store is now closed. It's an active crime scene. And they've called it a food desert. I will say to you that I'm offended by that term in this instance. I know that they're trying to say that this neighborhood struggles to find healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables, but I want you to recognize that deserts occur naturally for the most part. This is not a desert. This community is bereft of resources and nutrition by design. That it is not just a racist 18-year-old with a semi-automatic weapon that attacked this community, but this community and all of the buffaloes around this nation, around this world, have been under attack for hundreds of years. It's not lost on me that as we look at Peyton Gendron, this racist child. By the way, how does a racist child get an assault rifle and the most powerful, the newest, the latest body armor? How does that occur? But as he referenced Dylan Roof was referencing 4 little girls, the bombing in Birmingham. This is not new, but we must continue to struggle. We must continue to live in Ma'at. We must continue to do the work that our ancestors have chosen for us to do. Anika, you seem to have a question or a comment?
No, well, the community is not happy with the fact that we call him a child, whereas we're not allowed to be children when we commit the same acts at that age.
I think that's fair. But the reason why I'm calling him a child is not
the same acts. I mean, I say the same acts when we do anything.
When we do anything. But I'm glad you said that, because let me say why I'm calling him a child. I'm calling him a child not because I'm trying to infantilize him, not because I'm trying to say children are not responsible for their actions. I'm calling him a child because I think that it would be extremely difficult for an 18-year-old to get high-tech weapons and body armor on his own. That's what I'm saying. That we need to keep our eyes open, because there is more to this story than an 18-year-old. There are others who are responsible for this. And I also want to say, if you could be 18 years old and do this, then we have to ask, who are the other individuals who have prepared the way, who have actually sowed the seeds of hate and racism so that they could actually come forward in the form of an 18-year-old. I don't want to give him all of the responsibility for this, because there are many people. In fact, this racist nation that we have been taken to, that we are living in as the descendants of the enslaved, it should be brought to bear that this nation is responsible for this as well. The United States spent somewhere on the order of nearly, I think, $2 trillion on econ, looking for Islamic racists in another part of the world. But they're doing virtually nothing to protect Black people from the domestic terrorists that are their own family members. I don't think that we should have been surprised that a child, that an 18-year-old, and that even a 21-year-old or others would have done this, because we've seen this before. But on the same token, while we recognize what happened, I don't want us to get to the point where it becomes so normal, so regular, that we are no longer prepared to respond to it. That we should just say, I expect there to be racist killings. I expect that aunties and grandmothers will be struck down while doing nothing more than living their lives like everyone else should have the capacity to do. I don't want us to get inured. And I want us to absolutely hold those people responsible. There are people in the Tamil media that are responsible for this. How about the Tucker Carlsons and others who have been spouting this racist theory of the replacement, the great replacement, for years? This nation has in its sights Black people, people of African descent, and most horribly, Black grandmothers. That's what this nation is about. We need to protect ourselves. And we need to be prepared for this kind of attack. When I saw it, I said, what would happen if someone came to the Shrine of Ma'at? Do you see this kid? I'm going to stop calling him a kid. This shooter traveled over 3 hours to come to this space. He had actually done intelligence on the location before. He had gone to take a look at what was going to happen, what could happen by monitoring the location, looking at weak points in preparation for this brutal attack. I think we should be clear that he is completely responsible for what he did, but his responsibility is shared. Let's not let the rest of them off the hook. I hope you remember that when those Ku Klux Klan members bombed the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, it took 40 years for 2 of them to be convicted. 40 years. It occurred in 1952. But let's not forget that the first person wasn't actually brought to trial until the 1970s. And the last 2 weren't brought to trial until I think 2002 is when they were convicted. Now, I'm not saying that the fact that it took so long means that those convictions were irrelevant, but I am saying we need to keep our eyes open, and we need to make sure that our community is able to defend its aunties and grandmas. And we need to hold people accountable. I know that I am concerned as a spiritual leader of a community that we could be under attack. It was chilling when I saw that "We was Kings" item that he wrote on his gun, when I know that I have been harassed by that term for at least the last 10 years, Anika. Mm-hmm. That when I'm doing things live, there's often a racist tomfool that will come into the chat room and type it. How many of you have seen it? Those are particularly attacks upon people who are in the Kemetic community. Why was this shooter so familiar with that he wrote it twice on his gun? Why did he say the buck is broken if he's not talking about Buck Breaking, the documentary by Tariq Nasheed, which I'm in, by the way? I want us to recognize that we are in the periphery of these racist attackers, and we need to be prepared. Anika.
So the question in the community is prison enough? Because people tend to live well in prison, and shouldn't death be the answer?
You know, that's a really complex question that I don't even pretend to have the answer to. The answer I give you on Sunday might be different than the one I give you on Monday. To a certain degree, the death penalty, I think, is a cop-out, right? If someone is given the death penalty, they don't have to sit in a cell and think about the fact that they'll never see the light of day again. That in a sense, it just ends. And so I don't know if that's easier. I don't know how to respond to that. On a certain level, I think that he should stay in jail, that his family should be deprived like our families are deprived. But like I said, tomorrow I might say something different. I'm not generally in favor of the death penalty, but I can't say that I was not in favor of the death penalty for Dylan Roof. So that's a real challenge. That's a real challenge. I'm not sure how to give a fulsome answer to that. I'm still in pain over what occurred the day before my mother's 80th birthday. And I looked at my mother and I saw her in the faces of some of those women that were killed in Buffalo. So we need to be prepared. We need to live in Ma'at, but living in Ma'at doesn't mean that we can't protect ourselves. In fact, it would mean the opposite. The scales are out of balance and it's time for us to rebalance them. So with that, the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. I'm hoping that I haven't put a damper on your beautiful Sunday, but I do think that we need to think about how these kinds of attacks continue to occur in our community. And we need to be better prepared to defend these elder ladies and elder men so that this doesn't continue to happen, so that we won't be standing here 50 years from now saying the same thing that those that were in the 16th Street Baptist Church were saying. That was 70 years ago, and we're still here. We need to really take a serious light on what some of the things that we can do ourselves and our communities will be, and also how we can hold those people whose votes they received from us accountable for the things they can do to protect us, the things that they can do to ensure that these communities online also won't fester and continue to spread this kind of racist claptrap. So I'm hoping that you will also pour a libation for the names of those individuals who were killed in Buffalo. And we'll recognize that only through our work will that community be made whole. The divine force in me greets the divine force in you. Can we please move to our final affirmation?
So I have to say that this is a difficult topic today. And it's hard. I know that people are angry.
Mm-hmm.
I know people want justice, but is justice taking the life of another person is a question. And I know that jail might not be the full answer. But if we take the stance of continuing to just snuff out the lives of people, are we any better? There should be harsh penalties for him. What that means, I don't know. I wish I had the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of us thinking about what should happen to him, I think our focus should be on the family that lost people, and that our love and our positive intent go towards their needs. Because I'm sure, as angry as you are, they have even more to deal with. They have the anger and the grief and the loss. So they're at home thinking that they'll never see their loved one again. They're at home waiting for someone who will never come back home. And anger is not enough. How do we comfort the family, the families that have lost? How do we send them the love that they need to be able to get through this? Because even snuffing that individual out doesn't bring their family member back. So how do we support them? How do we send them the love and the care that will help them get through whatever they're dealing with? Many of us don't even know what this feels like.
Yeah.
If we've lost a loved one, it might have been through an ailment or natural
some
causes.
sort of illness. I mean, when that happens, it's radically different than someone coming into your community
with full intent to take
full
your life.
intent to take their lives.
So how do you deal with that? How will those families recover from that? How do they wake up every morning and continue to want to live, knowing that somebody actually intentionally went and destroyed their household?
And Anika, an 18-year-old, I guarantee you there are thousands of people that are directly connected to his act. We should ferret them out and hold them accountable. If this one person is in jail, that is not enough. We can talk about whether he should get the death penalty, but what about those other individuals who are responsible for this?
He was raised in a household of belief
That's
that
right.
should not exist.
That's right.
And the fact that those people raised him that way, they are just as responsible as he was.
And then had the nerve to blame COVID for this.
So, but I'm not trying to stand on my soapbox. I just want us to really hold those families close to our hearts and deal with them and try to help them with their grief and their loss, and to do whatever we can to help them. Send donations. If you know them personally, try to check in on them, find out what they need, and do all that you can. And teach your children better. Try to teach them how to deal with these types of situations, what to do if they are ever in a situation where they are trapped in a location where they can't get out. What it's unfortunate that we even have to think that way, that we have to protect and prepare our children this way. We shouldn't have to do this. Our lives shouldn't have to focus drastically on this, as opposed to just living like other people are allowed to do. But unfortunately, this is where we are in the society. We have to be realistic with what's going on with our families.
That's right.
So we have to have a master plan and protect ourselves. However you choose to do. I will not give anybody instructions on how to protect yourselves, but we have to protect ourselves and make sure that we can save our families as best as we can.
Yeah.
So I send myrrh and Seneb to all those families and hope that they're able to continue to live on. We can stand in the pose of adoration. And I will say, Amasu and Pater.
Amasu and Pater.
Sauksu.
Sauksu.
Emitra.
Emitra.
And Pater.
And Pater.
Autu.
Autu.
Aura.
Aura.
Maketipa.
Maketipa.
Herura.
Herura.
Give yourselves to the one most high. Keep yourself daily for the divine. And do it tomorrow, just as you did it today. Twa winter.
Twa winter.
Thank you to divine. Thank you to all of you. And much more to all those families who are looking for hope.
We'll see you really, really soon. And I hope that you'll also pour a libation for the souls of those individuals who we lost. With that, please go on and experience the rest of your Sunday. We'll see you soon. Shemin Ma'at, go forth in divine balance.